If you're considering moving to Grants Pass, Oregon, whether you're relocating for work or maybe trying to find that perfect retirement destination, this video right here has all of the information you could ever imagine. From the best and the worst parts of town, to the pros and cons, to a driving tour, and even interviews with local residents who are going to tell you everything that they love and hate about living in Grants Pass, Oregon. So enjoy this super guide and don't hesitate to reach out. If there's anything I can do to help you, you can find my contact information below or in the description of this video. So we just got off of the freeway off of Interstate 5 and we are now on the Grants Pass Parkway. So we got off on what's called the South Grants Pass exit, and so this is kind of where a lot of the main shopping and stuff is. You can see Walmart is over there to my left, Winco to my right. You've got Panda Express, Starbucks, Taco Bell, all sorts of stuff kind of right here along the Parkway. Fred Meyer up here on the left, and all sorts of different restaurants and all that kind of stuff here on the Parkway. So the Parkway, if we were continuing just straight through here, it goes on and turns into 199, which goes over to the Oregon coast. So nice and simple. If you get off the freeway, you have this nice wide road, which is the highway, and you can go all the way out to the coast. So if you're pulling a trailer or motorhome, whatever the case is, it's nice and simple to get all the way on out there. A lot of stoplights, so it's one of those things we joke about with Grants Pass, where it's like you could be 10 minutes to get across town, or maybe more like 25 or 30. Just totally depends if you hit every light or not. We're hitting some lights right now though. So anyways, McDonald's over here on the left, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up another street here. This is Beacon that we're at right now, but we're gonna go up one more street. We're gonna take a right, and you'll see as we're going through here on the right, there's a couple other stores in a bigger shopping center there, and it's Harbor Freight, Staples is in there, several bigger stores in there for Joann's Fabric, a GNC, PetSmart or Petco or whatever it is over there. But lots of different shopping opportunities, and we'll kind of show you all that here as we motor along through the green light now. And taking a right up here will actually take us into the downtown area, which is where we're gonna see all sorts of cool stuff, like my favorite restaurants and G Street, and I'll take you through the parks where they say, in the comments, or they're overran by homeless people and all that. I'll show you all that stuff, so you can decide for yourself what you think. But we're turning now onto F Street, and you'll get a nice shot of this sign here that'll show you all the stores that I mentioned, and some of them that I didn't. TJ Maxx, forgot about that one. Rite Aid, all that good stuff. If you take a left here at this light, there's actually a Home Depot back there. You probably can't see it on the camera, but there's a big, nice new Home Depot right over there. That's super convenient. So this is basically like the start of what I would say is downtown Grants Pass. Okay, so this F Street kind of turns into, crosses over 7th Street and 6th Street, which are the two main one-ways that kind of go uptown, what's called the top of town. 6th Street comes back down towards downtown. So those are the two big one-ways that go kind of up and down. But lots of just different shops and businesses here on F Street. You lose past Wild River Pizza, which is a really good spot for pizza, fun place to go, great arcade for the kids. Really great, sandwiches, pizzas, salads, all that kind of stuff. Really awesome place. Been around forever, and there's a couple different locations: Medford, Grants Pass, Cave Junction. So, anyways, this stoplight up here that you see is 7th Street, and again, it takes you all the way uptown, back up to I-5 on the north exit of Grants Pass. So you can go all the way on up there. But we're going to skip that portion because it's kind of boring and I don't want to bore you. So we're going to skip right over that, go right to the good stuff, which is directly across 7th Street, and we're going to turn down 6th, okay, and go down towards G Street and the whole downtown area. There's more of the downtown area, okay. Up here, though, if you were to continue on straight, you can probably see it on the camera right now, there's a restaurant there on the right called Mimosas. And if you guess, you can probably imagine what they serve there. And they do a really, really good job of it, is mimosas. Great breakfast place, brunch kind of a place, super good. But one of my favorites for sure. So definitely check that one out. And coming on up here now, we're on 6th Street, coming into the real like downtown area of Grants Pass. As you would, most locals will think of this as the downtown. But you have the famous "It's the Climate" sign. That climate sign has been there for I think over 100 years. I talk about that in one of my other videos about Grants Pass. So if you want to know more about the history in the city of Grants Pass, check out that video. I'll put a link to that up here. But anyways, that sign's been around there forever, and just to the right of it, you'll see a Dutch Bros Coffee. And that section right there, that parking lot, is actually where the original Dutch Bros Coffee started as a little push cart back in the day. So fun little fact for you. We're crossing over G Street right now, and we'll come back to G Street, so make sure you stick around for that, because that is the happening spot. Okay, G Street's where it's at. That's where the best restaurants are, in my opinion, and all that fun stuff. But as we continue on down 6th Street here, there's just a lot of different shops and stuff like that. Antique kind of stores. There's an antique mall right there on the right. Another antique mall on the left. Grants Pass Pharmacy right there on the right. More antique stuff, sewing machine repair, all sorts of stuff. So Rogue Roasters, great little coffee shop up here on the right, is awesome. I love that place, great coffee. So shout out to Rogue Roasters. And another one worth mentioning is Gates Furniture up here on the right. So if you're moving to Southern Oregon from somewhere else, you're moving to Grants Pass, you need new furniture, make sure you check out Gates Home Furnishings right there. Support local, and the place is awesome. Lots of really, really great furniture there. And as we cross over, so we're coming on up to the river here. We're going to go over the bridge. And I think they call this one the Caveman Bridge, or I can't remember. I should know that. I don't know. But I'll make it up. Let's call it the Caveman Bridge. Whatever it is, it's the bridge. And this is where if you get on the famous Hellgate jet boat excursion, you get on the boat right here under this bridge. Okay, and they'll tell you the exact name of it. Maybe it's Caveman or Grants Pass, whatever. But anyways, great spot, and I want you to pay attention, because this is where everybody says all the homeless population is, where they've overrun the parks and all that kind of stuff. They say it's right here, so pay attention to what you see. It's primarily, actually, if there's people camped out, they're generally over on the right-hand side as we come across the bridge here, and so you can pay attention to that, and there are some. So this is what everybody says is overrun. Maybe that is overrun to you, maybe it's not, I don't know, but you get to be the judge. So we're gonna go veer to the left here. If you continue on straight, again, you can see on these signs, you could go straight and veer to the right, go out towards the coast. You can go straight and stay straight and end up in the Applegate, or you can go straight like we're going and miss the turn that we're supposed to take, into where we now have to kind of do a little more of a loop. So we're going to do that. We're going to go up here and take a left, and then come right back down into the downtown area. It's kind of a little bit of a confusing intersection, really. It does confuse a lot of people, but it's not too hard to figure it out and get around. We can't turn left there, so that's lovely. This is what I'm talking about, a little confusing, but anyways, we'll get back on track here in a second. Actually, what we'll do here, I have an idea. We'll do this. We'll just continue on straight here, and then I'll loop you back around by Riverside Park, and we'll get a closer look at Riverside Park, because that's the place where a lot of people really say there's the issues with the homelessness. So to give you a little frame of reference, we're back now on the Grants Pass Parkway, which is what we were on coming the opposite way when we first started, going by Walmart, Fred Meyer, and all that. That was the Parkway. So now we're on the Parkway heading back towards the south exit or on-ramp onto I-5, okay? So if we were to just continue on this, we would be right back where we started in about 2 minutes. So what we're gonna do though is instead take this left on Park Street and we're gonna go check out Riverside Park and see what you think about that situation, because again, that's one that everybody says is overrun with homeless, and the last couple times I've been there, I haven't seen hardly any. Doesn't mean they're not there, doesn't mean it's, you know, whatever, just you be the judge. Camera doesn't lie, right? On the right here, I don't know if it's in your camera view or maybe you saw it as we were pulling up, but there is a nice big fire department building there on the right. And the old fire department from way back when is on the left, just the old building over there. And there's a park down there as well with a boat launch. I'm trying to remember the name of that park. And Baker Park. And so that's a really, you know, popular boat launch for people that want to jet ski or, you know, float the river on a raft, from, you know, Rogue River down here, or from here, you know, down to some of the other parks down below. So pretty good, pretty popular spot, nice and easy for people to get to, obviously, because it's right here in the middle of town. So again, so that's Baker Park right there on the right, and we're gonna continue on down Park Street here and drive right by Riverside Park. So let's see how that is looking today. And again, it's a beautiful day out. This is almost 70 degrees outside. 68 is what my truck says, and it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So beautiful, beautiful spring day here in Southern Oregon. So a lot of people out and about. Here's Riverside Park on the right. Okay, baseball field, and really just a nice city park that they put a lot of money into. That's where Boatnik is every single year, which is on Memorial Day, and boat races and all sorts of fun stuff going on there. Boatnik is awesome, so it's really one that one of the kind of bigger, well, probably the biggest, you know, parade fair type of a thing that Grants Pass has. There's a Josephine County Fair too, but I feel like Boatnik's kind of a bigger deal. I don't know, but seems like it's just maybe more of a event because of the boat race. You know, there's several boat races that last several days, and it's a lot of fun. So that one's I certainly like it more than the Josephine County Fair personally, but that's that. So we are now turning right onto 7th Street, and we're going to go back into the downtown area where we were. We're going to cross back over the bridge, and again, more of Riverside Park there on the right, which looks really beautiful today. So I don't know if you'll be able to get a little peek of the river as we cross over it here, but it's really pretty. Top Rock Restaurant, so that's the building over here on the left, a nice kind of lodge looking place. Beautiful. Are there people swimming in the river? I thought I just saw people swimming in the river, but that's crazy. It's still way cold for that. So anyways, Top Rock Restaurant is awesome. One of the places that you definitely want to check out if you're in town, and the weather's nice, which it is most of the time. But if you're in town, you definitely want to scope out Top Rock Restaurant in Grants Pass and go try to get a seat out on the deck, and overlooking the river. It's amazing, and so it's definitely the nicest riverfront dining anywhere in Southern Oregon, in my opinion. I don't know if there's somewhere nicer that I don't know about, but if there is, leave it in the comments down below, because I would love to know about it, if there's something better. But it's I think the best. It's just great views of the river, the park, and all that kind of stuff, and the food's pretty good, so it's definitely worth checking out. We are going to go up a couple more blocks here, and we're going to turn left onto G Street, and I'm going to show you the restaurants that I like, my favorite ones there, and give you little pointers on some other places to check out while you're in town, or while you're, you know, when you live here, whatever the case is, give you some places to check out. Something you might notice a lot too is, so Human Bean coffees. You see a lot of Human Bean coffee drive-throughs, and you'll see a lot of Dutch Bros. Dutch Bros definitely, I would say, a little bit more common than Human Bean, and just kind of a little more like a youthful brand, that kind of thing. A lot of fun, always high energy, good drinks, great coffee. Okay, and same with Human Bean. Their coffee is fantastic too. Port Authority is this restaurant here on the right. I love that place. Really good pizza, good beers on tap, all that fun stuff. And now we are coming up on G Street. So we're gonna turn left here on the G. Safeway there on the right. And turn left onto G Street. And here we go. So we got a couple good restaurants up here. So well, let's just kind of call them out as we go through. So right as we cross over, you're gonna see the Laughing Clam here on the left. You're gonna see House of Glory. You're going to see the Bohemian, which has a rooftop bar, which is the only one around, which is really, really cool. I've heard, I haven't been there yet, but it's supposed to be amazing. I've been to Bohemian, not to the rooftop bar, but Lulu's is amazing. That's definitely my favorite place around here. I think they have the best food. That's this kind of striped awning there on the left. And right up there on the right is the Dutch Bros Coffee headquarters. So that's another good one to know about. And I want to take a right because I want to show you this parking lot right up here. Anyways, that parking lot, that's where they do the Saturday market. And so if you're interested in that type of stuff, the farmers market, local farmers, local meats and cheeses and just different arts and crafts and all that fun stuff. The farmers market or Saturday market, whatever they call it here in Grants Pass, is pretty solid. A lot of fun. Grants Pass is one of the best river towns in the West, and there's no doubt about it. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right with a population of right around 40,000. Big enough to have all the important things like a hospital and good medical offices, a variety of restaurants and shopping, but not so big that you have all the inconveniences like traffic. And before you locals start dropping comments about how bad the traffic is on Redwood Highway during rush hour, you need to go check out a city that has a real traffic problem. Go try to drive through the Bay Area on a Friday afternoon. That's a real problem. That's one of the beautiful things about Grants Pass though. It's just right in a lot of ways. The climate, for example, there's actually a sign in town across 6th Street that says it's the climate, and it's been there for about 100 years. It serves as a landmark and a declaration that the weather here is just awesome, and it is. The summertime highs are generally in the low 90s, which makes it just perfect for getting out and enjoying some of the incredible recreational opportunities offered by the Rogue River, which flows right through the middle of town, or the Applegate or Illinois rivers, which are really nearby. Wintertime brings temperatures in the mid-40s, and it will get below freezing occasionally with even a snow day here and there, but not much. We're in Oregon though, so it rains a lot, right? No, this is in Portland. The annual rainfall here is about 30 inches, which is less than the national average of almost 40. And that rain is generally spread around 100 days of precipitation. So that leaves about 265 days of no rain and about 200 days of sunshine. So if you like to get outdoors and enjoy the sights and sounds of nature, you'll have plenty of opportunities to explore the countless hiking trails, raft the river, perfect your fly fishing technique, enjoy the local vineyards, embarrass yourself on the golf course, and on and on and on. How about this? Instead of me just telling you about all the great things to do in Grants Pass, how about I show you around town? This is the locals guide to Grants Pass, Oregon after all, right? I should probably guide you, or I'd have to probably give you your money back. So let's go. Well, you may have noticed we didn't really go very far, and that's because I never told you where we were in the first place. I got carried away talking about the weather and all that sort of stuff, but now that we got all that boring stuff out of the way, let's talk about the good stuff. We're at Tap Rock Northwest Grill, or as the locals call it, Tap Rock. Grants Pass folks are super creative with their nicknames. Here's another one. What do Grants Pass residents call Grants Pass? GP. What do Grants Pass residents call Dutch Bros Coffee? DB. I'm being serious, these are real nicknames. But what's great about Tap Rock is the beautiful deck that has the most incredible views of the Rogue River. It's hands down the best spot to grab a bite and just watch rafters and boaters go by. It's also where you get on the world famous Hellgate jet boat excursion. And if you've not been on the Hellgate jet boat excursion, that has got to be on the top of your list of things to do in Grants Pass. You hop on one of these big blue boats and they blast down the river and a part scenic, part amusement tour of the beautiful Rogue River. It's a fantastic experience, and I'll give you a little pro tip. You want to go when it's hot outside because you are going to get a little damp. On the other side of the river from Tap Rock is Riverside Park, which is one of the larger parks in Grants Pass, and it's home to the annual Boatnik Festival on Memorial Day weekend every year, which is part carnival, part boat racing event. There's a bunch of rides and games for the kids, fair food, beer garden, and some really cool boat races like drag boats that go over 100 miles an hour on this little stretch of river, big high-powered marathon boats that do a timed race way down the river, and the crowd favorite hydroplane races that feature these little boats with outboard motors that sound like they caught a yellow jacket in a soda can. It's hard to explain, but it's a lot of fun to watch. And speaking of fun, let's cruise over to the downtown area, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite spots. We're at G Street in historic downtown Grants Pass. This part of town, and this street in particular, is lined with great restaurants like Lulu's and Bohemia and the Laughing Clam, and a great little dessert place called House of Glory. And if you turn the corner onto 6th Street, you'll run into Twisted Cork, which is a wine bar and a restaurant that is absolutely fantastic. All of those will be linked in the description of this video. If I had one meal though and had to pick just one place, I think that I would probably eat at Lulu's. It is so good. They're open 8 to 2, so it's more of like a breakfast lunch only kind of a place, but the menu is incredible. A lot of creative specials there, and they are just flat out impressive. What else does downtown area have to offer? Well, how about the Grants Pass Growers Market? On Saturdays from mid-March to November, just a street over on F Street and 4th, you'll find the local Growers Market from 9 a.m. to 1-ish. There's loads of vendors there, from farmers to cheese and honey and soaps and arts and crafts and coffee and more. And my favorite, I mean my kid's favorite, is the homemade donuts from Daddy's Donuts. They are hot off the donut making machine, and they are just amazing. So treat yourself to one of those. A few other things to know about downtown Grants Pass is that you're gonna find a lot of really cool old antique shops, and I mean a lot. So if you're an antiquer, I don't know if that's a word or not, how about an antique enthusiast? Or maybe you're not that enthused, but your wife is. Whatever the case, there's a lot of antique stores to browse. So one last little fun fact about downtown is that this is actually the birthplace of Dutch Bros Coffee. It all started right here in 1992 with a little push cart that the Boersma brothers served up espresso from. And over 30 years later now, Dutch Bros is a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange, and they sell almost $1 billion worth of coffee every year across most of the US. It's a super cool story, and one that the local community takes a ton of pride in, because the founder, Travis Boersma, has taken a ton of pride in this community. Make sure you visit Dutch Bros next time you're in town here, so that you can say that you've been to the place where it all started. So now let's continue on to our next stop, where I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the schools in Grants Pass. Welcome to Grants Pass High School. This is a really pretty 47-acre campus and state-of-the-art high school with a lot of things to offer, from arts to athletics. If you can believe it, there's actually 2 school districts in the Grants Pass area. District 7, which is essentially in the city limits of Grants Pass, and that includes this high school. And then there's 3 Rivers School District, which covers the remainder of Josephine County. We'll talk more about that in a second. If you want to know the exact boundaries of the districts, I encourage you to reach out to either one of them, and they can provide you with maps. Now, Grants Pass High School is classified as a 6A high school, which is the largest classification in Oregon, with around 1,700 students enrolled. It's a pretty big school, at least for my standards, because I had about 500 in my high school. District 7 also has 6 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. In the 3 Rivers School District, on the other hand, they include 3 main high schools, 3 or so middle schools, and 6 or so elementary schools, as well as a few other charter schools and alternative education opportunities. But which district is better? Great question. I'd have to say both of them have their pros and cons, and I hear more people say that they want to put their kids in District 7, but I also see on websites like greatschools.org that some of the schools in the 3 Rivers District are rated very, very well, like a 10 out of 10 for Fruitdale Elementary School, whereas I don't see that for District 7. So what I'd say is this: do your due diligence, talk to the districts, and find out what they have to offer and why your kid should go there instead of the other option. From what I understand, there's definitely a little bit of a give and take, and you may get, a larger variety of programs in District 7, but maybe you get a smaller average class size in 3 Rivers. So a little bit of a give and take there. So I suggest getting as much info as you can about both, so you can figure out which is going to be the best fit for your family. While we're on the topic of education, I should also mention that there are a few private school options in the area, as well as a community college called Rogue Community College. And that offers all sorts of great programs across their 3 campuses. If you have any other questions about schools or anything else that we've covered up to this point, feel free to drop a question in the comment section. Now, I'm really excited to show you the next stop, because it is a part of town that I think you are going to love. How's that for a view? Welcome to the Starlight neighborhood of Grants Pass. This little neighborhood is known for its phenomenal views of the city and the overall great location. The street here is Starlight Place, and it travels right along the top of this ridge top, providing each home with a really incredible view either east towards the city or west towards the upper and lower River Road areas. I want to show you this part of town because it's just such a beautiful neighborhood full of gorgeous homes. Some of the original homes here that haven't been updated are being listed in the $500,000 range, and some of the bigger, newer homes have pushed $1 million. And that's kind of the tale of the Grants Pass real estate market. There's stunning riverfront estates and ranches that are well into the millions of dollars. And then there's very affordable parts of town where you can be in a nice home in the 300s. So there really is something for everyone. You just need to have an agent here helping you who knows the area really well and can help you find the perfect place that checks all the boxes for you. I think I know a guy that I can connect you with. He's kind of tall, he has a beard, likes to wear blue shirts, makes jokes that really aren't that funny. But really, if you are looking at real estate in Grants Pass, Oregon, there's a link in the description of this video for you to click on and schedule a time for us to meet. I'd love to chat with you more about your situation and see how I can help you. The Grants Pass area has so many great things about it that make it a good place to live, like generally lower property taxes than other parts of Southern Oregon, or the Three River Community Hospital, which is part of the Asante Hospital system that was ranked in the top 15 nationally for the last 10 years. There are a lot of great things about this area that I'd love to share with you, so please reach out. Okay, next stop is our last stop, and it's extra special and one of my absolute favorite parts of GP. So let's go. We are at Reinhardt Park, which I am pretty sure is the largest park in Grants Pass. It is big and it borders the Rogue River. It features all sorts of facilities like baseball and softball fields, a soccer field, volleyball, tennis, basketball, horseshoe pits, a fly casting pond, fishing pond, and even shelters that you can rent or book for events. This place has a lot going for it, and I thought, what better place to tell you about all the amazing things that you can do outdoors around Grants Pass. As you can imagine, the beautiful Rogue River is at the heart of many of the outdoor activities, from rafting and boating and fishing to swimming and hiking along the banks of the Rogue River down to Rainy Falls, or along the 40-mile Rogue River Trail that goes through the protected wild and scenic section of the river. The fishing here is legendary for salmon and steelhead, so if that's your jam, you should really get out there on the water with a guide and hook into a big old Rogue River fish. This river actually holds the world record for the largest salmon ever caught on a fly, weighing in at 70 pounds. The other rivers in the area are the Applegate and the Illinois, and they also offer great recreational opportunities for swimming or floating or picnicking and even scuba diving. The Illinois River has several pretty popular scuba diving spots because it's nice clear water with big deep pools, so that's certainly worth checking out as well. And if you run out of things to do around Grants Pass, which I think would be really hard to do, it's only a couple hours drive over to the coast, and there's a whole range of other things to do over there.
The thing that I want to make very clear in this video is that my goal here is simply to show you what is actually going on in real life in Grants Pass, Oregon. I'm not trying to paint a picture of the town being perfect, and I'm certainly not trying to paint a picture of the town being a dump. I'm just trying to show you what it actually really is in real life so that you can decide with your own eyes whether or not it's a place that you might want to consider living in, okay? And lots of people are moving to Grants Pass, Oregon, or relocating to Southern Oregon cities all across Jackson and Josephine counties, and for good reason, okay? But if you look at social media or even some of the comments on my videos here on this channel, you might be wondering, why in the world would anybody want to live in Grants Pass? So it's time to set the record straight and show you what all these, rundown parks look like. And so you can see for yourself whether or not you think they've been really, overtaken by homeless and what they really look like in general. So I'm looking forward to showing you the 5 biggest and most popular parks in the Grants Pass area. I'm going to show you exactly what they look like, and you will be able to make your own decision on what you think. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So we are starting with Riverside Park, which has been at the epicenter of this homeless crisis issue for some time. It's probably the most iconic park in Grants Pass, with the best location, right along the river, very, very close to downtown. And a lot of people, myself included, have memories of playing in this park, as a kid on all the old logging equipment and mining equipment that they had there. That you could climb all over. It was really fun. But over the years, the park and the areas around it have been more frequently used as a homeless camp and for drug deals, leading to a series of issues and really, really unfortunate events, culminating with a homicide in May of 2023. And it's an incredibly sad story. And it ultimately led to the city of Grants Pass shutting the park down for a month to make some changes and address the public safety concern, okay? And the park has since reopened with a new set of regulations really aimed at cracking down on the types of activities that were taking place there that were leading to, the safety concerns and the crime, okay? The new rules address portable structures like tents within a certain distance of walking paths and playgrounds, and they address things like utilizing public restrooms and that sort of stuff. And in my opinion, the new rules appear to be pretty effective. The park sure didn't feel overran or unsafe to me personally, but you can see the pictures and you be the judge. So moving on to our next park, we are going to talk about Reinhardt Park, which is also known as the All Sports Park, which is one of the largest parks in Grants Pass, if not the largest. And I've talked about all the great amenities of this park in several of my other videos about Grants Pass, including my Locals Guide to Grants Pass, Oregon, which I'll include a link to right up here. It is a beautiful park that borders the river, and it has all sorts of great things going on. And the general feel at this park is pretty good, in my opinion. It sure didn't seem to be overran by homeless, like some would lead you to believe. And in fact, I don't even remember seeing anyone camped out at Reinhardt Park. And I've been through it, a number of times for family pictures or videos for this channel, or playing with the kids, or baseball or softball games, and on and on. Okay, and I don't ever recall any sort of encounter, or I certainly don't recall ever feeling unsafe or anything like that. But again, these are the pictures of the park, and you can make your own judgment on whether or not you think it seems overran and unsafe. Next up is Gilbert Creek Park on the north end of town, and this park is one that I fully expected to see some homeless activity, primarily because I've driven by it and seen people camp there before or living out of their cars. But really, I still wouldn't go as far as saying it's overrun by homeless. I still also see plenty of people, using the tennis courts or the playground or the walking paths and the soccer field. So my guess is that it just gets some of this homeless traffic because there aren't many other parks in that part of town, and it does have a public restroom. So I would imagine that's kind of what's leading to some of that, activity there. But again, it really didn't seem, in my opinion, to be very, overran. So Tom Pierce Park is next on our list, and this is actually a Josephine County park instead of a City of Grants Pass park. So it's just outside of town, and it's super popular. Okay, they have a huge play structure that's really, I think it's brand new. Tons of walking paths, day use facilities, an 18-hole disc golf course, and river access. It really is a fantastic park. It's off the beaten path, and so I wouldn't expect to see much in terms of homeless camps and that sort of stuff, and tents and tarps. But I'm sure you probably get the random car camper here and there. But I don't see a lot of that in the times that I've been there. Okay. I know a lot of people who prefer this park over many others due to the nice big playground and just the generally, safe feel that you get here. But again, take a look at these pictures and you decide for yourself if it's one that you would like to visit. So now on to our last park, which is Morrison Centennial Park. And this is kind of on the south side of town. And this was probably the most popular homeless camp on the day that we shot our footage. Okay, so you can see there definitely are some camps, but would you call that overrun? You decide. If I personally pulled up there on this day with my kids to go play at the park, I hate to say it, but I'd probably turn around and find another place. But that's just me. You may have a different opinion, but this is probably the worst of what we had seen on the day that we shot footage at all the different parks. Okay, so this is, what I would call the worst of Grants Pass, this footage right here that you're seeing. I've heard a lot of people talk about solutions to homelessness and ask things like, why don't we just make it illegal to camp and loiter in public places and all those types of things, right? Well, Grants Pass is actually in the middle of some serious litigation about that exact thing. Grants Pass does have local laws against camping in parks, and even has laws that allow officers to exclude people from parks who have been issued multiple citations, but those local laws were ruled as violating the federal constitution as cruel and unusual punishment. So they can't enforce those laws, okay? But they can enforce laws related to people doing illegal activities like going to the bathroom in a public place, drinking alcohol in the park, or even doing drugs. But even the drugs is a really hard one now, since the state of Oregon decriminalized the possession of most drugs like opioids, heroin, meth, cocaine, and fentanyl even. All are legal to possess in small quantities. So that makes it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to really do anything about this issue, which I know is very frustrating for them. So I had an off-the-record conversation with a member of the law enforcement community, and the general attitude was one of frustration, okay? They know that these issues exist, and they would love to help clean up the parks so that families feel safe taking their kids there and enjoying those public spaces, okay? But their hands are just tied. The pending litigation involving the city of Grants Pass will have a big impact on how all of this unfolds going forward. So I will certainly do my best to keep you updated there. Now, there are a few things I want to explain about the homelessness crisis in Oregon overall, because there certainly is a problem, and there is also a solution that doesn't involve just kicking people out of the parks and moving them to a different part of town. First off, Oregon has the 4th largest homeless population per capita in the entire country after Washington, D.C., California, and Vermont, and the crisis is growing at an above average pace. But why? Okay. Oregon Public Broadcasting, the OPB, did a really good write-up about the history of homelessness in Oregon, and they talked about how we got here where we are today. And I'll post a link to that article in the description of this video if you want to give it a read, but I'll give you the kind of spoiler alert, which is that the government mismanagement is how we got here, okay? And that article says, I'll read you a little piece of it. It says, Oregon began shutting down its large psychiatric facilities and poor farms, that's their term, in the 1980s and 90s, okay? The state's plan was to replace these institutions with smaller community-based treatment facilities, and that never happened. Instead, rising housing and healthcare costs forced many people with serious mental illnesses into homelessness. And that was just the start of it, okay? So to make matters worse, the state has failed for decades to develop enough housing to keep up with its growing population, okay? Now, it's not the state's responsibility to build houses. We all know that, okay? But it is the state who makes it extremely difficult for developers to build housing. So when you have a limited supply and increasing demand, prices go up, and that squeezes out the people who are already struggling to afford housing. So where do they go? They become homeless, okay? And the article goes on to say that Oregon's current housing supply is short roughly 140,000 homes to meet the demands of its population size. And this places the state 4th in the country in terms of underproducing housing. And the article goes on to say that up until the 2010s, there was a lot of slack in the housing market, making it affordable for nonprofits to cover rents, okay? And those vacancy rates began to dip as Portland saw its population balloon by nearly 100,000 between 2005 and 2015. And as rents skyrocketed in Oregon cities in the past decade, some people experiencing homelessness moved to smaller Oregon towns seeking affordable housing and work, like Grants Pass, which didn't always pan out, okay? Others born and raised in smaller communities simply found they could no longer afford rent or a mortgage in their hometown, and they moved into a tent or a car. Like in the cities, the crisis was worsened by a lack of housing. Available housing evaporated as formerly affordable homes turned into lucrative vacation rentals in small coastal towns, and it continued to shrink when new construction failed to bounce back in small communities after the 2008 recession, despite population growth, okay? While homelessness first appeared in Oregon's larger cities and now has taken root across the state, and in 2022, Oregon ranked among the states with the largest rural homeless populations in the country, with an estimated 3,208 rural Oregonians living outside on any given evening, okay? And I've said it in a number of my videos, but this problem has a relatively simple solution, and it is simply to build more housing. But why isn't that happening? It's because the state and the local governments make it so dang expensive and create so many ridiculous hoops to jump through in regards to zoning and land use that developers are just deterred from developing. And I am one, so I can tell you this from firsthand experience. The red tape is ridiculous, okay? The Cato Institute put out a list every year called the Freedom in the 50 States, and it looks at a variety of issues, and it ranks each state's regulations in a bunch of those areas. And you can say what you want to say about that organization, but the point is that they rank all 50 states. And if they're biased against, liberal states, for example, then at least they would be biased against all of them, right? So guess where Oregon ranks when it comes to land use across the whole country? Dead last, okay? They comment, land use has been a controversial issue in Oregon, and the Beaver State is indeed more regulated in this department than all other states. It's been quite onerous for years and continues to get worse. That is the problem, okay? And the homelessness crisis is a complex one, but the lack of development exacerbates the issue, and it starts with the state's regulations. As an example of how simple a solution can be, if the state and the local governments just made it legal and easy to put an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, on your property, that alone could have a massive impact in helping with this issue, okay? It would create rentals, and it would also make more homes affordable because the rent that the homeowner receives for renting out that ADU would help cover the cost of their mortgage. And I explain this exact scenario in much more detail in one of my recent videos, and I'm going to put a link to that right up here so that you can check that out if you're more interested in hearing more about those details. But what it really comes down to is this, okay? There are rules and laws in place, and there are people who are tasked with enforcing those rules and laws, no matter how ridiculous and counterproductive they are. That's just, it is what it is, right? That's just where we're at, okay? And the answer is to create more housing. The developers aren't doing that because of the state's horrible land use regulations, and the state needs to incentivize the developers to develop and allow property owners to build ADUs. And if we could do that, the homelessness crisis would be significantly improved if those things could happen. So that is the scoop on the homelessness crisis in Grants Pass and really beyond, okay? There's plenty of video here for you to review and to make a decision yourself on whether or not those areas around Grants Pass look or feel unsafe. I'll tell you that in my own experience, I've never felt unsafe in Grants Pass, in downtown, in the parks, nowhere. But maybe we're different, and I'm sure there's probably people who have felt that. But that's why I thought it would be important to show you the real footage so that you can decide for yourself whether or not this looks like a place that's run down or a place that you would want to raise your family. Now let's talk about Grants Pass, or as our local Southern Oregonians here call it, GP. To provide full disclosure, I don't live in Grants Pass, and I am not biased one way or the other to try to convince you that Grants Pass is amazing or terrible. If I had to provide the most concise answer possible to the question of, is Grants Pass Oregon a good place to live? That answer would be yes, for the right person. And that's because there's going to be people who absolutely love Grants Pass, like Joe Dirt when he arrived in Silvertown, or whatever it was called. And if you haven't seen that movie, you need to. And there are going to be types of people who think that it's a podunk, uncultured, uneducated, unfun, unsafe, understaffed, underdeveloped, bad. And that's because people are different. So if you're the type of person who likes to spend your Fridays and Saturday nights going out to a very fancy restaurant and watching a play, GP might not be the place for you. You can do those things, but you're going to probably run out of fancy restaurants and plays in about a week or two. You might want to look into Ashland, Oregon, if that's what you're after. They have plenty of those things, really nice restaurants, lots of plays and all sorts of fun stuff if that's what you're into. On the other hand, if you're an outdoorsman or outdoorswoman and you like to spend your Fridays and Saturday nights barbecuing with your friends down by the river, throwing some horseshoes, having some beers, you are going to absolutely love Grants Pass. There's so many things to do outside, it's absolutely insane. You want to go to the river? There's 3 of them within about a half hour's drive. You have the Rogue River, which runs right through the middle of town. You have the Applegate River, which goes all through the Applegate Valley, which has phenomenal vineyards and all sorts of fun hiking and great things going on out there, and good fishing too. And you have the Illinois River, which is absolutely beautiful, full of incredible swimming holes, great beaches, all sorts of really fun stuff to do out there too. These rivers all have beaches, swimming holes, fishing, and on and on and on. If you'd rather have a guide take you down through that type of stuff, there's guided fishing trips, guided rafting trips. There's the world famous Hellgate jet boat excursion. There's even a raft that you can go on that they'll pour you beers on the raft so that you can have somebody else rowing while you're just sitting there drinking beers, soaking in the scenery. It's really an awesome experience. There's countless hiking trails as well, including a 40-mile journey through the wild and scenic section of the Rogue River. I could go on and on, but I think you get the point. There is an absolute ton to do outdoors in Grants Pass, and thankfully, there's a ton of opportunity to do that type of stuff because Grants Pass is well known for its fantastic weather. In fact, the city motto is, it's the climate. So you're going to have plenty of opportunity to go out and enjoy all those amazing things and more, like the vineyards and the golfing and on and on and on. What else makes Grants Pass a good place to live? The homes are generally more affordable than other parts of Southern Oregon. The property taxes are generally more affordable than other parts of Southern Oregon. It has everything you need, like shopping and medical facilities, schools, churches, restaurants, a lot of really, really good ones, not a lot of super fancy ones, but a lot of good places to eat. And it's a great location overall. So if you want to go and have another weekend somewhere else, in a couple hours, you could hop over to the Oregon coast. You could hop over and be in Bend on the other side of the Cascades. You could drive up I-5 and be in Eugene or Portland in a half a day, you know? So it's a very good launching point for a lot of simple weekend getaways. Here's some fun facts for you. Grants Pass was established in 1865. The population is about 40,000 people in the city right now. Grants Pass hosts an annual Boatnik Festival, which is a blast. It's got a parade, a car show, boat races that are going up and down the river, carnival for the kids, all sorts of fun stuff going on there. So that happens Memorial Day weekend every year, so make sure you check that one out. Last but definitely not least is Grants Pass is home to Dutch Bros Coffee, where it was founded, created, all that good stuff. And so there is no shortage of Dutch Bros Coffee around here. So if you're ever looking for a good cup of coffee, you can find one on almost any corner. So I hope this helps answer your question of, is Grants Pass Oregon a good place to live? I personally think it's awesome, and I really enjoy spending time at Grants Pass, but I know people who don't. It may not be for them. But I think that's okay, and that's normal for any city that actually has its own identity. And that's one of my favorite things about Grants Pass, is it has a charm about it. It's small enough to where you could bump into your friend or a neighbor at the grocery store, but it's big enough to where you have all the things that you need, all the amenities and the conveniences of a bigger town. You have all those things. So it's really one of those few cities that's just in that sweet spot of small enough to have that homey charm and big enough to provide all the conveniences and amenities that you need. I know you're dying to hear which one of the two cities, Grants Pass or Medford, is the better real estate market. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay. So I am looking at home values. All right. When I'm telling you about this data here, home values for units sold over the last year. Okay. And so we're going to look at 2022 versus 2023. And if you saw my video last week, we're going to look at some of the same data, but we're focusing only on Grants Pass and Medford, right? And so looking at the Medford market between 2022 and 2023 full year comparison, Medford is down 1% on the median sold price and down about the same on the average sold price, okay? And down 28% in terms of the total volume. Grants Pass was down 2% in the median sold price and down 1% in the average sold price, down 26% in total volume, okay? So very, very comparable. So then if we look at just what happened over the last year of 2023, okay, from January, the start of the year, to December at the end, we saw the median sold price in Medford go up 12%, and we saw the average sold price in Medford also go up 12%. Whereas in Grants Pass, we saw the median sold price go up only 6%, and the average sold price go up about 7%. So the median and average sold prices in both places were actually pretty similar, right? They were within $10,000 of each other, about $474 is where they were at. So, but what isn't so similar across the two is the amount of new construction that happened in the last year. Only 30 new homes built in Grants Pass versus 164 new homes built in Medford over the last year. And that's not the only thing that wasn't so similar between the two. The expected growth rate of the population of Jackson County versus Josephine County, and I'm looking at the counties because that's the easiest data to look at, and these are the two biggest cities in each county, okay? 0.6% expected in Josephine County and versus 1% expected growth rate in Jackson County. And that's actually a pretty big difference if you think about it, 0.6% versus 1%, pretty substantial. So Medford has just more development happening, right? More new homes are being built there, and it's expected to grow more, right? So that's going to increase the supply and the demand, and that's also, probably the same for Grants Pass, right? But what I see is more positive things happening in Jackson County than in Josephine County lately, which makes me more optimistic that the biggest city in the county stands to benefit quite a bit. So for example, a couple of those positive things is number one, Amazon is building a warehouse in Central Point. So I'm going to call that the Medford area. And so that's coming up. It's under construction right now, and that's going to definitely bring jobs. Rogue X, the community complex that the city of Medford just launched, is huge and awesome. Water park, pools, event center, all sorts of stuff in there. And I'm seeing a lot more development by big builders in the Medford area. Companies like D.R. Horton, who's a big national one of the largest builder in the U.S., D.R. Horton. They're one or two behind with Lennar. So anyways, but they're in Medford and they're building. That's encouraging. Okay. And then you have big regional builders like Hayden Homes building in Medford, and you just don't see as much of that in Grants Pass. Okay. So that's something that's also, stands out to me as a positive. And when you have those types of things happening, okay, the warehouse being built, the community center, the Rogue X complex, all that happening, like that creates jobs and it creates things for people to do. And I just see more of that happening in Medford than I do in Grants Pass. So considering all of those factors, if my only motivation was simply just the long-term appreciation of my asset, I would make my investment in Medford over Grants Pass right now. Okay. And if I were to target a specific area of Medford, it would be East Medford. Okay. I'd probably look for a home in a good neighborhood, a quiet neighborhood, nice big lot, good square footage on the home, big rooms, but maybe in an older part of town that will start to get more and more renovations. Think like a 20-plus-year-old home. There's actually a specific area that I think holds a lot of these types of homes that I'm talking about, and that's the area between Delta Waters and Lone Pine, from Springbrook up to Foothill, and I'll show you a map of that so you can take a look at it. But it has a lot of those types of properties, as does Hillcrest, the Hillcrest Road area up on the hill. So there's a lot of those homes that are built in the early 2000s or the 90s that are exactly what I'm talking about. Nice big lots, nice big homes, but can stand to be updated. So in other words, I would invest my own money into the location and the bones of the house, and I'd plan to make the house really amazing over time. And I'd also plan on others doing the same to the houses around me, which should bring up the value of the neighborhood considerably. So which Southern Oregon city has the best real estate market? Well, for my money, I'm going to say Medford over Grants Pass, but that does not mean that that's the best decision for you. So if you're considering investing or buying or selling in Southern Oregon, reach out so we can discuss the specifics of your situation and figure out what makes the most sense for you, okay? Now, let's talk about Medford versus Grants Pass and which is a better place to live. And real quick, if you're looking to buy or sell a home in either one of these areas, check out my website, buyingsouthernoregon.com. Let's start with a look at some of the key data points from the U.S. Census Bureau, then we'll go into some of the other areas. According to the most recent Census Bureau data, Medford has a population of 86,000, and Grants Pass has a population of about 40,000. The employment rate in Medford is 54.6. and in Grants Pass it's 52.7. That is just the percentage of the population who are actually employed. So a slight edge to Medford on employment. Median household income in Medford is higher at $63,700, and in Grants Pass it's at $46,580. So another edge to Medford. The predominant industry in both Medford and Grants Pass is basically the same at 26%, being towards the educational services and healthcare. Median age in both areas is pretty similar, but in Medford it's 41.6 years, in Grants Pass is 39.7. So Grants Pass is a little bit of a younger population. Population under the age of 18 is a little bit lower in Medford at 17.8% of the population versus Grants Pass is about 23%. So again, supporting the notion that Grants Pass is a little bit of a younger population. Can't really give an edge to either one there because it depends on what you're looking for. Diversity, I'm going to call that a draw because it's basically the same no matter which part you're at. Similar to weather. Okay, weather, they're so close together, Medford and Grants Pass, that it's hard to really distinguish between the weather being different in one versus the other. So I'm going to call weather a draw. On crime, bestplaces.net says that Medford is a higher crime area. So we're going to go ahead and give Grants Pass the win on that one. For schools, greatschools.org seems like the schools in the Medford School District better than the schools in the Grants Pass School District. So we're going to go ahead and give the edge to Medford on the schools. Now for some more personal preference type stuff. Let's talk about shopping. I live right in between Medford and Grants Pass, and I think we find ourselves and my family going to Grants Pass more than we do to Medford. Okay, so I almost want to give the edge to Grants Pass, but that's based purely on the convenience to myself. So the reality, though, is that Grants Pass has pretty much everything that Medford has, I thought, until I started to really go into the detail and think about what do I go to Medford for. And what brings me to Medford are stores like Sportsman's Warehouse, REI, Dick's. Those are the places that you can't get in Grants Pass. There's not a good sports store in Grants Pass. There's not a good outdoors store in Grants Pass. There's small ones, small local ones, but not a place like Sportsman's Warehouse or REI where you can go get really specific stuff that's in a nice big store with people that know what they're talking about. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give the shopping edge to Medford. How about restaurants? When going out to dinner, my family tends to go to Grants Pass more than Medford. And that's because I think there's frankly better restaurants in Grants Pass than Medford. Medford probably has a wider variety of restaurants, but I think Grants Pass has higher quality restaurants. So we're going to go ahead and give the edge to Grants Pass on the restaurants. For things to do, it's hard to really give an edge to either one because there's so much stuff to do in both areas. What I would do is check out the video I created with a link right here for the things to do in Southern Oregon Winter Edition, and check out some really cool stuff to do in both areas. But for the sake of this, I'm going to call it a draw. I think both areas have a lot of great stuff to do. Scenery, okay, which area is just more beautiful? And I have to give the edge to Grants Pass in this one. The river runs right through it. You get to cross over it many times going through town. It's beautiful. The scenery there, I think, it's just better. And that's not a knock on Medford necessarily, because I think Medford has great scenery too, with Roxanne and Table Rock and all that kind of around there. It is pretty as well, but it's not as good as Grants Pass, in my opinion. What about home prices? I did some research on current listings as well as past sales to come up with what I think are good average price ranges for a newer 3-bed, 2-bath style of a home that a lot of people will be looking for. And what I looked for is, move-in ready home between 1,1700 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, single story that was built within the last 15 years. Not new construction, but just kind of something that's in that range where we could get some good comparables. And what I found was that Medford, to buy something like that, you'd be looking at in the 450 to 475 range. And you could obviously find them above that or below that, depending on the neighborhoods that you're looking in within Medford. There's obviously, a big disparity between West Medford and East Medford on those types of prices. But overall, you could find a nice home between 450 and 475 in Medford for that type of a home. In Grants Pass, that same home would cost you about 425 to 450. So my observation there is that it's about a 10% discount in Grants Pass on the housing prices. So got to give the edge to Grants Pass on that one. Property taxes, kind of the same story. So for the same priced home, in the most cases, it was about 10% less on the property tax side of things in Grants Pass versus Medford. So if you had a $450,000 house in Medford and a $450,000 house in Grants Pass, the property taxes in Grants Pass were about 10% less. And again, that is something that varies from property to property, and it can, it can differ. So that's not really much of an edge, but I will give the edge to Grants Pass in that because overall it is a little bit less. Now, the most important factor, which is the X factor, okay? I asked my 5-year-old, what city do you like better? Do you think Medford's better? Do you think Grants Pass is better? And he said Medford. Why? Because it's closer to the Family Fun Center. That was his answer, and it's true. The Family Fun Center is in Central Point, right next to Medford. And when you're 5, I guess that's what's most important. So nod to Medford for the X factor. So which is actually the best place to live? You're going to have to make that call for yourself, depending on what is actually most important to you in your specific situation. For me and my family, we picked somewhere right in the middle where we could enjoy all the benefits that we really like about each one of the cities and pick and choose which one we go to at the given time. Hey, I know we covered a lot and there's a lot of information to digest in that super guide, but if you have any questions, I just want to tell you, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can call or text me directly. I'm Brian Simmons with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate Team. My information is right there down below on the screen, or you can find it in the description of this video, but please don't hesitate to call, text, email me directly, and I'll be more than happy to help you any way I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.